When we translate a song, we don't just translate the words, we are translating a melody. If the syllables don't match, the song simply doesn't work. This is what we call singability. It is the art of making a translated lyric fit the syllable budget of the original melody. And today, we are going to talk about song translation and see how exactly this is done. Hello, I'm Dena, a student of English Literature Study Program at Universitas Seswati Yogyakarta, and this video is for my final examination project, and the subject is Translation Studies. And the object of my analysis is a Disney song. First thing first, why a Disney song? I choose Disney for my analysis because Disney produced so many interesting songs that we all know and we love. But more importantly, they release official translation that allow us to compare English version and Indonesian version side by side. Now, we are looking at Beyond from Moana 2, and I want to focus on the translation strategies in the song. Now we are looking at the numbers. The English version has 243 words, but Indonesian version only has 143 words, and that's 100 words difference. Why? Because English is full of filler words like the, that, of, something like that, while Indonesian is created as shrinking words, phrases. So instead of using two words like melihat aku atau aku tahu, we use one like melihatku or ku tahu. And here's the secret. Even though we lost 100 words, the syllable count is almost identical. 302 for the English version or the original song, and 306 for the Bahasa Indonesia or the translated song. This is the key to singability. Indonesian words are naturally longer, so the translator used fewer words to keep the same beat or rhythm to make sure that the translated song can be sung. And next, I found that there is only one instance of word-for-word translation in the whole song, and it is line 35. I am Moana becomes aku Moana. Only once because in song translation, word for word is usually a trap. Indonesian sentence structure are naturally longer. If the translator tried to translate every single word, literally, the lines would become too long to fit to the music and the rhythm. And it will be impossible to sing, and that's not achieving singability. And then, for English words used, the result is 0. The song was completely translated. There were no shortcut English words to save a beat or a rhythm. This shows a total commitment to making Jauh di sana 100% feel more natural in Indonesian ears. Because this isn't a literal translation, the translator had to use addition and omission to balance the melody to make sure the rhythm. And in fact, I found omissions in 16 different lines and 2 cases of addition. Take line 6. The English version says, winds have changed, tides turn me far away. But the Indonesian version, arus laut bawaku pergi jauh, completely omits the word winds. Why? Yeah, because the tide and the ocean already convey the feeling of being pulled away. So yep, it's enough with that. And then, in the next example is line 33. The entire original sentence word omitted and replaced with something new. And although I don't know when, becomes penuhi panggilanku. This is where addition comes in. The translator adds new phrases that aren't in the original, but they keep them in the same context. They aren't just changing the story of a song, they are choosing the right words to fit the Indonesian rhythm while keeping the same context. Next, let's look at paraphrase. With 17 instances found, this is one of the most used strategies in the song. Most of these changes either simplify or shift in the perspective to make it more natural. Take a look at line 3, and suddenly nothing feels the same. The translator changed the perspective. Oh, ternyata sungguh berbeda. It shifts from a passive feeling to an active realization. And for the simplification, we can see the example in line 4. The English version says, I know the path that must be chosen, which is quite worthy if being literally translated. And then the Indonesian version shrinks it down to, ku tahu jalan yang kupilih. You might notice some overlap here with omission, but these lines here categorized as paraphrase because the core meaning remains the same. The translator isn't just cutting words, they are reshaping thought to ensure it flows perfectly with the music. Sometimes, the translator doesn't just change words, they rearrange the entire lines. In this song, I found 4 cases where lines were blurred or reorganized to keep the flow. For the example, let's take a look at lines 8, 9, and 10. In English, Moana sings about being far away from home, from everything and everyone she knows. The translator took these 3 lines and reshuffled them. Line 8 becomes meninggalkan semua. This one short phrase covers both far from home and from everything. Line 9 becomes yang ku tahu, and line 10 becomes yang ku sayang. Now let's talk about the metaphors. The word beyond appears a dozen times in the original lyrics. It's a powerful metaphor for the abstract, going past your limits, your fears, or your future. But the surprise is, in Indonesian version, the metaphor is gone. The translator chose Jauh di sana, which literally means far away over there, while beyond is an abstract feeling. Jauh di sana refers to a physical place, and it's likely a simplified strategy. The next example of metaphor is line 2. New skies call me by name. The sky is acting like a human being. In the Indonesian version, the new skies are omitted, but calling remains. Instead of sky, the translators connect the action to line 1. The stars. Stars, bintang di atas laut itu kembali memanggilku. By making the stars call, the translator preserved the original metaphor. Finally, let's talk about rhymes. In the original English version, the rhyme scheme is very structured, using patterns like ABB or AAB or even ABAB, and there's also a pattern of AAA at the end of the song. But when we look at the Indonesian translation, something happens. The translators didn't always follow the original pattern. There are some, but in fact, many lines have no formal rhyme patterns at all. However, I discovered a hidden strategy used to keep the song sounding beautiful. If you look closely at the ending vowels of the Indonesian lyrics, you'll notice that every single line ends in A, I, or U. There isn't a single A or O at the end of line. But why does it matter? By limiting the vowels to these 3 vowels, the translator created uniformity, just as the original song used N sounds to create a smooth ringing finish, especially in the choruses. The Indonesian version used this vowel consistency to ensure that even without strict rhyme pattern, the song feels harmonious and right to the ear. So, how did the translator actually achieve singability in Jauh di sana? It wasn't by luck. It was through 3 deliberate choices. First, they prioritized rhythm over literalism. By letting go of word-for-word approach and reducing word count by 100, they keep the syllable count nearly identical to the original. This ensures the singer never has to rush or stretch words to fit the beat or the rhythm. And then the second, they use strategic structural changes such as addition, omission, and reorganization. They reset the sentence to fit the natural flow of Bahasa Indonesia. And then, instead of forcing complex English metaphors, they simplify the lyrics into clear images for the local listeners. And then finally, the rhymes. By consistent vowels like a, e, and u, they make sure the song sounds harmonious and pleasant as the same as the original song. It doesn't feel like a forced translation, it feels natural to listen. Thank you for joining me and dive into the song translation strategies. I'm Dana, and I'll see you on the next analysis. Bye bye!